Hello friends, in this video tutorial I am going to show you how to integrate your Dialogflow agent with database. This will be a series of video tutorials on various Dialogflow tips and tricks. So please like and share our video and also please subscribe to our channel. Hello friends, so now we are going to see how to integrate your Dialogflow chatbot with the Firebase database. So there are a couple of steps involved in integrating your Dialogflow chatbot with the Firebase database. So the first step is to create your Dialogflow bot. Second step is to create the Firebase database. Third step is to connect your Dialogflow agent with the database, where you will actually write the code. And then final step is to test the chatbot. So we'll go through all these steps one by one and we'll see how to connect your Dialogflow chatbot with the database. So let's start. So first step is to create your own Dialogflow bot. So I'm sure you will be able to create your own Dialogflow bot. If not, please see my other videos on how to create your Dialogflow bot. Okay, so let's create our first Dialogflow bot for the database demo. So click on create agent and let's call it DF database demo, and it's creating our Dialogflow agent. Alright, so while it's creating, let's see our next step. So next step is to create the Firebase database. So you need to go to console.firebase.google.com in order to open the Firebase, but there is an easy way to open the Firebase database. So I'll show you how to quickly open the Firebase database. Alright, so our Dialogflow database demo agent is created and there are two default intents, fallback intent and welcome intent. So let's create the Firebase database. So for that you can just go to fulfillment and enable this inline editor option and just click on deploy. Okay, just click on deploy without doing anything. Just leave the default code as it is. It will take a few minutes. Alright, so you can see the deployment is successful, and now you can see there's a link here, view execution logs in Firebase console. You can just click on this link and it will open the Firebase console. If you are logged in with multiple accounts, make sure you enter the correct number here. So this is your Firebase console, and if you see there's a database option here. Just click on the database option. Alright, and then click on create database. It says start in log mode and start in test mode. So we can select the start in test mode option and click enable. Okay, so now in the drop down here, just select the real-time database. And this is the URL. Just keep this URL handy. We will need this URL in the code. Alright, so our Firebase database is created. Next step is to connect your Dialogflow agent with the database. So let's go to Dialogflow and go to intents. And let's create two intents, one for saving the data in the database and one for reading the data from the database. So let's create our first intent, which is save to DB, and training phase could be save to database, save to DB, save my data, and so on, whatever you want. Alright, and let's add a parameter. Let's call it text, and entity could be sys.any. By the way, if you don't know what is this and how to use this, then you can see my other videos on entity and trading phrases. So let's call it text, and we need to define a prompt. So prompt could be, what would you like to save? So we will ask user, what would you like to save? They will enter something that will come in the text. Okay, so let's quickly check it. Save to DB. It asks, what would you like to save? If I say hello world, so we get the text hello world in our text parameter. So we can use this text parameter in the code to store that text in the database. So we'll see how to do that. And the next intent would be to read from DB. So read from database, read the DB, read database. Okay, so if you, or let's say fetch from database. If you say any of these things, it will read the data from the database and show it to the users. So we have created our two intents, save to DB and read from DB. Now, one important thing to remember is, since we are going to use code editor, inline code editor and webhooks, so make sure to enable this, enable webhook call for this intent option. Otherwise, this will not be connected to the webhook code. So make sure you enable this option. Okay, and same thing for read from database. Go to fulfillment and enable webhook call for this, so that this code can be executed and from the webhook. So let's go to the fulfillment section. Okay, so there is some code already there, so you don't need to worry too much about this. Just delete the things which are commented out, because we don't need these things. So let's remove this thing, it's not required. Okay, so leave it as it is. Just leave these two things because we need this. So uncomment these two lines here. So intent map.set is to actually map your intent to the code. So we created two intents. One is save to DB, another one was read from DB. Okay, so just name those intents here. Whatever name you have given in the, whatever name you have given to the intent, just give the same name here. Okay, and then you can define your own handler here. So just give any name. So let's say handle save to DB and handle read from DB. So now we need to define these functions here. Just write function and then agent. Okay, and then again function and this function. In the bracket just write agent. Just follow this as it is, don't need to worry too much about this. So what we have done here is defined an intent map which maps this intent save to DB to this function handle save to DB. So whenever someone tries to save something to DB, this function will be executed. Similarly, when someone tries to read from DB, if someone says read from DB, then this function will be executed, handle read from DB. And agent is the default parameter which tells us the parameters and other details. So I'll show you how to use this agent. Alright, so let's start with save to DB intent. So before that, we need to write some code for the database. So how to do that? So here after first line just write const admin equal to require Firebase admin. Okay, so just below this functions write const admin equal to require Firebase admin. Okay, and leave everything as it is, and then in here write admin dot initialize app. Okay, so like this, and you have to write credential colon admin dot credential dot application default. Just write as it is. It is always the same, and database URL is equal to something. So database URL, so this database URL is this thing basically. So copy the URL which you have created in the Firebase and paste it here, and change the HTTPS to WS. It is for WebSocket, so we'll use the WebSocket protocol. So it should be something like ws colon / something, whatever name your database has, .firebase.io.com. Okay, that's it. Now we will write the save code, handle to save. So now we need to get the text. Okay, so const text equal to agent dot parameters dot text. So if you remember, we have created a parameter called text in the save to DB agent intent. So we can use that parameter here. If we have created some other parameter, let's say value or name or something, then we can use that parameter here. If you want more details about parameters, just watch my other video. Okay, so by this we can get the text. This is the text that we want to save in the database. All right, so now we need to write the actual code which saves the data into the database. So let's do one thing. Let's create a data and then first name and shelf. So we have just added some sample data into the database. So this is our root, and then it has a child called data, and then it has child called first name. Similarly, we can add other childs like last name, etc. and other things. So let's add another child called text ABCD. So we have data, first name, last name, and text ABCD. Okay, now in the code, what we are going to do is write the code to save some data into the database. So it should start with return admin.database.ref, and then refer to the data, the first child. Okay, dot set, and set whatever you want to set. Let's say we want to set first name to Rahul. We want to set last name to Sharma, and then we want to set text to whatever text you've got. Okay, so this will save this information into our database. So let's click on deploy and see if that works. So it will take around 1 to 2 minutes. Let's wait. Alright, so it is deployed now. So let's try it out and see if it works. Let's try to save something in the database. So save to DB. And what would you like to save? So new data coming from Dialogflow. Okay, text new data coming from Dialogflow. If you see in the database, it says new data coming from Dialogflow. Let's change it to say save to DB. What would you like to save? Hello world. Text hello world. In the database, text is hello world. So that means it works fine. You can save anything in the database. Now let's try to store the data in the database. I'm sorry. So we have already stored the data in the database. Let's try to read the data from the database. So how to read data from the database? So for that we need to write some code here. So return admin.database.ref and reference to the data. So basically root. So this one, and then dot once value. This will always be value. Dot then snapshot, just write as it is, snapshot, and then const value equal to snapshot dot child, and then with child. So the snapshot is this thing, this whole object, and then child could be first name, last name, or text. So let's say we want to read the text. So the child will be text, then dot val. Okay, so we get the value of text in the value variable here. And then if value is not equal to null, then agent.add the value from database is value. So basically this value, whatever we read from the database. So this will be displayed in the chatbot. So let's deploy this. And if we say, let's wait for it to deploy. Okay, it's deployed successfully. So if we say read from database, it says hello world. So which is here. Let's change it. So save to database. What would you like to save in the database? I would like to save this is working awesome. So it should be saved in the database. This is working awesome. Okay, and now let's try to read it from the database. So read from database. Value from databases. This is working. Now everything is working fine. The data is being stored in the database, and chatbot is also reading the data from the database. It's all working as expected. So if you have any question, just feel free to comment in the comment section. And I hope you like this video. Please like it, share it, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.